Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the Profitable Manufacturer Podcast. I'm Annette Delancey. I'm a co-host. I am the owner and CEO of Cast Covers, a Rock and Fun manufacturing company based right here in the United States. And I'm also the CEO of She Makes Products, where we help women product entrepreneurs break through the six-figure revenue barrier profitably so they can grow and scale their business. And my co-host is Jason Snyder. Jason.
Hello, everyone. Jason Snyder here, CEO of Aspire Advisors, where we implement Profit First, coach our clients in fractional CFO and bookkeeping.
Great. Okay, so today's topic is or are top 7 indicators of when your business could be on life support. So this is going to be a ooh, ah, ee kind of thing. I'm sure if we were listening to all of you, if we could, and there would be a few of those like, uh-oh. So we're going to get started. And basically, if you have one of these, you've got a situation. You need to really assess it and look at it. And you need to MFWR, which is my acronym for make friends with reality, because until you make friends with reality, you're not going to be able to get down the road. So at least one means you've got a situation. More than one, you're in real bad trouble. And it can be turned around. So I want to make sure you're very clear that it can be turned around. But let's get into the top 7 indicators of when your business might be on life support. So the first one is if you're less than 10% of net profit, period. Now, Amazon is the only exception to that because it wasn't making money for 10 years. But we're talking that was a totally different thing. What we talk about are our small business, the businesses that run the engine of our country, of the United States of America. And those are the Amazon rules do not apply to our businesses. And so if it's less than 10% net profit, you have a situation, you have a problem. It does not mean you can't fix it. It just means it's an alarm bell. Jason, do you want to add to that?
Definitely, yeah. And net margin or net profit for us includes depreciation and other things that typically are deducted in the EBITDA. Don't use that. We can do a whole episode around that sometime in the future. But net margin includes all of your regular operating expenses, and depreciation is one of those. Whether you want to include it or not, it is. So definitely, it's historical. We look at a lot of clients' books over the years, and it's pretty clear who has the cash problems and poor decision making because their net margin is in the single digits.
Yes, and they're hurting because of it, and they can't capitalize on opportunities, and they're probably staying awake at night, and they don't know why.
Yep.
And so, bottom line, keep it above 10%. You're going to be okay. Keep it over 15% is way better, though. I'll say that louder. Over 15% is much better. Okay. Second indicator of 7 is less than 30 days cash in the bank. And this means you probably couldn't do payroll, you couldn't take care of COGS, you couldn't take care of taxes. If you don't have 30 days or more, Profit First, we recommend 3 to 6 months or more. But if you're down to 30 days cash or less, you have a significant problem. Jason?
Yeah, and we wouldn't count things that normally are counted in working capital. So like access to credit facilities, lines of credit, your home equity loan don't count for this purpose. It's cash in the bank that's owned by you that doesn't have any terms or conditions applied to it.
Excellent point. I have a client who, when I asked, you're getting pretty low, and they said, oh, yeah, but we've got a $50,000 line of credit. No. That is not how you do it, which jumps us into actually another one, which is really number 4, but we'll just jump ahead to that. Don't use debt to operate your operating expense account.
Yep.
Period. There's just no discussion, just period. You do not use debt. You do not use credit card. You do not use line of credit. That means you're running your business on debt. And that is not a profitable business. And that is not a healthy business.
Right. Yep. It's a clear sign that your margins are there. Therefore, your product services is not priced appropriately. And that's usually one of the quickest indicators for me as a Profit First consultant when I go and look at a client's books is where the margins are. it's almost 100% correlation between cash problems and gross margin issues.
And also expenditures. I have learned that operating expenses can sometimes be like a travel account for some of my clients. They have a tendency to use the money and use their travel as a write-off when actually it's sucking cash from the business. You can definitely use travel when you need to, but if you're running low on cash or if the profit margins aren't there, you just can't do what you want to do sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a clear indicator around that the operating expenses that need to support the business and the products and services around it, you're not pricing it because that's where the pinch is. You can't, in most cases, you can't cut your operating expenses to grow your business. You're going to have your, and then the other part that you were just mentioning about that is don't make decisions around taking on more operating expenses when you don't have the margins already there. You need to work on your gross margins and things. And the last point is, like you mentioning, this is why you treat your business as a business and not your personal bank account. When we run into situations like this with clients, we'll actually move or create a different account under their and use it as owner's discretionary expenses so that we can separate that out so we can really uncover what the true margins are of the business. Yeah, they've already depleted the cash, but at least we can understand what the true margins are for the business so that we can advise them appropriately in setting up their profit first systems and things.
We had I would say like a sister podcast to this, which was the 4-step process to make smart financial decisions earlier. So you can check that out. And we talked about some of these issues also. So they do kind of marry each other very well. So I would recommend you listening to that podcast as well. The next one that is an indicator is credit cards are tapped out and or at 70% or more. And 70% is a lot. They should not be tapped out. In fact, it's best probably not to have credit cards, especially when you're a smaller business. Do not have credit cards because it's too tempting to use them. Yes. And so if your credit cards are tapped out and you're looking for another credit card, it's the same thing. You're doing the same thing, whether it's line of credit cards. Oh, let me share with you my own personal experience. So we all heard payday loans. We all know those are bad. Okay, for those of you that are using them, get out from under them. Get out from under them. They are just actually usury laws could go into effect with those. But so what I did years ago in my business, my cast covers, my manufacturing company is 15 years old, and maybe 8 years ago, PayPal contacted me and said, hey, you could get this loan because, you've got great revenue, and we just take it off the top. So I said, sure. And it was tens of thousands of dollars, like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, something like that. Oh, that was the most painful thing because every day, so like, I don't remember, but it was like $1,000 in sales. They'd take off 200 off the top. It was awful. I could not wait to get out from under that loan. I will never, ever do one of those loans again. Am I glad I did it? No, because I don't even remember what it was for. I mean, all I remember is the pain. And so and you will too. So we're actually going to have somebody on podcast in the future who's going to talk about what you're really paying for when you tap into these types of loans. And so our advice is don't. Right, Jason?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the common things I see with clients coming to us is 3, 4, sometimes 7 of these on their books. Many times they're not recorded correctly, so the interest charge is never really input. And that's the other thing we should add to this is many times the accounting is a mess. It's almost a strong correlation between poor accounting, bookkeeping practices, and cash management will go almost hand in hand.
Yes.
But definitely avoid those at all costs. That's like at the lower end where you're much closer to having big problems in your business. The one about the 30 days of cash is kind of higher up on that when you would experience that, but they're all pretty closely aligned, especially if your turnover is pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Okay, so the next one is you're avoiding communication. And that could be from anyone from your CPA, your bookkeeper, your business coach, your profit first certified consultant. It could mean vendors, anything like that. And if you're avoiding those phone calls, if you're not taking those phone calls, that means you've got a problem. And that this is something you need to look at. Maybe it's just the top of the surface, or maybe it's just the first line of what goes wrong when you're all of a sudden, oof, I had to rob from Peter to pay Paul, and my bookkeeper is going to kind of point this out to me, and I don't want to talk to him or her about it. So if you're doing that kind of gyrations, anything to avoid conversations, that means something's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the last one is, the seventh one is if you have a revolving door. If you have a revolving door of employees and or other ways of chaos, kind of what Jason was talking about, and is also within our sister podcast earlier about the 4-step process to make smart financial decisions. But if you have a revolving door of employees, something's wrong. Chances are they're not getting paid, or something like that. I mean, there could be other issues. Maybe management has a pretty poor style of managing employees. Maybe the culture is poor, but that also usually is in line sometimes with how your books are. So is one or the other? Not necessarily. But if you're stressed because of money, you may not be the best manager, and so people come and go. Mm-hmm. So just watch that as an indicator that your business is, because really the cost involved of hiring somebody and training them again is so high. That's something that can be prevented by being a good manager, good training program, having the right culture. So that's something worthy to invest in. Jason?
Yep. I would say Class A or grade A people generally won't want to be around an environment where, one, they're not rewarded, and two, where they see financial aspects as the primary decision maker rather than what's best for the company. And there is a difference between the two. Yes, you need cash and you need to run your business in a profitable way. But if it's purely around issues around cash being available for investment decisions or better equipment or training and or salaries and benefits, people will see that, and the top people want to be respected in their work by rewarding them through compensation, but more importantly, that they're fulfilled and that you value their work, which includes training, education, and things, which is often overlooked as a factor for people when they look for other opportunities.
Great. I agree. All right. So those are the top 7 indicators. Were there some gasps while you were listening to this? And if you have any questions, of course, reach out to either Jason or myself, and we'll be happy to help you.
Definitely.
And information's down below, and we'll look forward to our next podcast.
All right.
Have a profitable day, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.